Probably not going to stand on the pulpit. So I just want to clear that up. Nobody get your hopes up. The fire department's right next door, though, so they can be here quick. Well, the scripture comes to mind. We've piped unto you and you didn't dance, and we mourned and you didn't weep, so it's your fault. The book of 2 Kings, the 5th chapter and the 9th verse, while you're turning there, I want to say how much I appreciate my pastor, Brother Kathy, and the burden that he has for this church. Also, the team that he has around him, Brother Loving, Brother Arndt, Brother Harden, the people that do a lot of stuff behind the scenes. There's a lot of stuff and a lot of burden that goes on around here that is not really seen. But the church couldn't be the church without people willing to do little things, without people willing to do stuff that maybe doesn't get the recognition that other things do. And so I want to say thank you to those men as well. The book of 2 Kings, the 5th chapter and the 9th verse. So Naaman came with his horses and with his chariot and stood at the door of the house of Elisha. And Elisha sent a messenger unto him, saying, Go and wash in Jordan 7 times, and thy flesh shall come again to thee, and thou shalt be clean. But Naaman was wroth and went away, and said, Behold, I thought surely he will come out unto me, and stand, and call on the name of the Lord his God, and strike his hand over the place, and recover the leper. Ooh, we're going to have church. It's going to be awesome. Are not Abana and Parphor, the rivers of Damascus, better than all the waters of Israel? May I not wash in them and be clean? So he turned and went away in a rage. Because God didn't do things the way he wanted him to. His servants came near and spake unto him, and said, My father, if the prophet had bid thee to do some great thing, wouldst thou not have done it? How much rather then, when he said to thee, Wash and be clean? Then he went down and dipped himself 7 times in the Jordan, according to the saying of the man of God, and his flesh came again like unto the flesh of a little child, and he was clean. I want to talk for just a few minutes tonight about common miracles. Lord bless you. You can be seated. Naaman is an interesting character in the Bible, because Naaman is a hero. Naaman is a man that knows how to handle himself. Naaman is a man that walks in throne rooms. Naaman is a man that is not out of place in the presence of the king, but Naaman is a leper. Naaman is strong, but he's a leper. Naaman is rich, but he's a leper. Naaman is somebody everybody wants to grow up to be like, but he's a leper. He was powerful, but he was a leper. No matter what he did and no matter what he accomplished, no matter what he achieved, he was always the leper. Nothing that he could do would change what he was. He was constantly reminded that he was a leper. Before I get into what I'm going to talk about, it is interesting that Mary breaks her alabaster box in the house of a man called Simon the leper. They don't eat with people that have leprosy, but because he was a man that had been cured of leprosy, they named it as Simon the leper. That's who he used to be, was the leper. And I'm sure that when Mary heard that Jesus was going to eat at Simon's house, she thought to herself, this is my chance. This is my opportunity to go and worship at the feet of Jesus, because if there's any place that I can feel safe, it's at the house of a leper. It's at the house of a man that knows what it's like to be an outcast. The house of a man that knows what it's like to be hurt. The house of a man that knows what it's like to be wounded. This is a place that I can be safe. I can go to the leper's house. He's not a leper anymore. He's healed. But surely he remembers what it is. But Simon don't remember. Because when this woman comes in and she breaks her box, it's Simon that says, What are you doing? If he knew what manner of woman this was, if he only knew, surely he would rebuke her. It's dangerous to forget where we came from. It's dangerous to forget what we used to be. We can celebrate what we are. We can talk about how far the Lord has brought us. But don't forget you're a leper. Don't forget you've got problems. Don't forget that pit that God dug you out of. And when a backslider comes here, this ought to be the safest place in the world for a backslider. This ought to be the safest place in the world for a sinner. This ought to be the safest place in the world for somebody to come and receive what they need from God, because we remember what it's like to be a leper. Naaman says, I want to do a big thing. I need to be a big deal. I don't know who that fellow thinks he is. He must not know who he's dealing with. Don't you know who I am? That's a funny line. It's funnier for a few people that are in here. I want to prove to God that I deserve it. See, I need a healing, but what I'm going to have to do is a big thing. What I'm going to have to do is do a feat that everybody's going to look at me and say, boy, he did a great job, and now he deserves what he's getting. He deserves that blessing. He deserved that healing, because look at all he did to achieve it. Really, what I want to do is prove that I can do it pretty much by myself. I just need a little help. I don't really want to admit how much of God I need. I don't really want to admit how far away I am from God. What I want to do is just God, if you just give me a little boost. I'll stand up on top of this pulpit, just a little boost. Some of us need a little more than a boost. Some of us need a crane and a sky hook. Some of y'all can just hop up here. Some of us can't do that. 1 Thessalonians says, aspire to live quietly and mind your own affairs and work with your hands as we instructed you. This is the aspiration. This is what Paul tells them to dream of. Live quietly. Live the life that God has called you to live. Do the thing that God has called you to do. If God wants you to part a Red Sea, get a stick and part the waters. But if God wants you to go and pray for a man named Paul on a street called Straight and then disappear from the pages of the Bible, go and pray for the man that God called you to pray for. Do the thing that God called you to do. It is not about what I do. It is about what God can do through me. Jesus says, on that day many shall say to me, Lord, did we not prophesy in your name? and cast out demons in your name and do many mighty works in your name? And then I will declare to them, I never knew you. Depart from me, you workers of lawlessness. Look at all the stuff I did. Imagine standing in the presence of God, bragging on yourself. I don't know if you noticed, Lord, but I'm pretty impressive. I don't know if you was jotting down notes, but I did some stuff. You really need to be impressed with the things that I did. Let me tell you all about my accomplishments. Because we have a misconception that the things that we do make us worthy. The big stuff, the important stuff, make us worthy. The big things are the things that God really pays attention to. But when we work for the other things before we work for the relationship, we get things a little bit out of whack. God did not know them because they did not know Him. They had a misunderstanding and a misconception of who God was. Israel comes out of Egypt. God has delivered them with plagues and darkness and locusts and power, all of this stuff, and then parted the Red Sea and drowned the Egyptian army. And so they don't want to make, when they're making the idol, they're not making an idol to a different God. They're making a representation of Yahweh, the one that brought them out of Egypt. This is God. And what they choose to make is a bull. Because a bull is powerful. A bull is strong. A bull is destructive. A bull can do pretty much whatever he wants to do. This is God. They found a part of God that they liked. They found an aspect of God that they liked. And they decided that what they would do was worship that. I'm going to worship the thing that God can do. I'm not going to worship God. I'm going to worship the thing that He does. I'm going to worship the thing that He does when He agrees with me. I'm going to worship the thing that He does when He works a miracle. I'm going to worship the things that He does when I'm feeling good, when I'm blessed. There's not a relationship with God, but there's a relationship with the things that God did. There's something about somebody that's just willing to do the little things that God tells them to do. Even what look like sudden miracles are usually preceded by faithfulness. Daniel's first prayer wasn't when he heard that there was a decree against praying. Daniel had been praying a long time. The man gets healed in Acts chapter 3. The lame man gets healed at the gate. Beautiful. That's a great story. Silver and gold have I none. All that stuff. That's a good story. But there's some guys that hauled him to that gate every day. I don't know who those guys were. He didn't get there by himself. He didn't fly. Somebody got up early in the morning every day, and they brought their friend to the house of God. Faithful day after day after day. Eventually, he's in the right place, but he's there because faithful people brought him there. There is a story about Pablo Picasso as an old man. And he's sitting in a cafe doodling on a napkin. And a lady recognizes who he is. And as he stands up to leave, she says, "Hey, can I have that napkin?" And he says, "Sure. It's $100,000. And she said, $100,000? It took you 30 seconds. He said, "No, ma'am. It took me 75 years. Because the miracle is not in the moment. It's in the faithfulness before the moment. It's not always in the extraordinary, but it's in the common. Jesus enters a village, and there's 10 men with leprosy. And they say, Jesus, have mercy on us. And he looks at them, and he says, go and show yourself to the priest. And that's all. He just said, go and show yourself to the priest. And nothing happened. I don't know if thunder rolled. It's not recorded. But they just turned around and they just walked to show themselves to the priest. And as they go, as they walk, they're cleansed of their leprosy. There's not a production. There's not theatrics. Just go and show yourself to the priest. And as they go, as they obey, as they just do the thing that God told them to do, they're healed. Elisha's a prophet. He's called by Elijah. Elijah walks over to him. He's out plowing the field, just doing work. Elijah walks up to him and he puts his mantle on him and he says, "You're gonna come with me and you're gonna be the next prophet." And he kills the oxen, which seems extreme. I mean, somebody could have sold them, right? Somebody could have used them. But he sacrificed the oxen. He tears the yoke apart and he uses it as the wood to burn the sacrifice. And he goes with Elijah. And Elijah says, "What do you want? I'll give you. What do you want? Just ask me what you want." And he says, "I want a double portion of your blessing." And Elijah looks at him and says, "If you'll see me when I go, you'll get a double portion." You mean I don't have to climb up on a Mount Sinai and stand in the cleft of a rock? I don't have to stand there while the whirlwind goes around me? I don't have to call fire down out of heaven? No. If you'll just walk, if you'll just walk with me, if you'll just follow me, if you'll just do the thing, you can have a double portion. Abraham, God said, "Arise, walk through the length and the breadth of the land, because I'm going to give it to you." And so Abraham takes off walking. He's just walking. You can ask him, "What you doing, Abraham?" "Well, what I'm doing right now is I'm conquering this land." "How are you conquering the land? You don't have an army. Don't need an army." "I got a promise." "How are you conquering? You don't have any soldiers." "I don't need soldiers because I got a promise." "Don't you know there's walled cities in this land?" "Cities don't matter because I've got a promise." "There's giants here, Abraham." "Giants don't matter because I've got a promise. All I've got to do is keep walking. If I'll just keep doing the thing that God asked me to do, if I'll just keep walking in the way that God asked me to walk, God is going to do the thing that God promised that he would do." David, he fights Goliath with a sling. Slings are cool. I did some research on slings. And you can take a rock and you can throw a pretty good sized rock 600, 700 feet per second. And you can throw a rock through that wall back there. They're pretty impressive things. But the first time he used it wasn't the day he fought Goliath. There was a lot of times that he just walked around and he would pick up a little rock and he'd sling it at stuff. In lonely times, What you doing, David? Just playing with a sling. In times when he was forgotten, what you doing, David? I'm just playing with a sling. In times when his brothers were making fun of him, what you doing, David? I'm just playing with a sling. In times when no one's watching, what are you doing? I'm just playing with a sling. He doesn't know he's getting ready to face a giant. He doesn't know he's getting ready to deliver Israel. He doesn't know he's getting ready to ascend to a throne. He doesn't know he's getting ready to be anointed. What he knows is, in this moment, I'm going to be faithful to the thing that I'm called to do. David never dreamed he was getting ready to defy the armies of the Philistines. David never dreamed he was going to kill a giant with his sling. All he knew was what he was supposed to do. Naaman, just go dip. Well, that's stupid. I said the S word. That's dumb. Don't say stupid, you get in trouble. That's dumb. I don't want to do that. Okay. Elisha didn't run downstairs to try to talk him into doing it. Because sometimes when you get a word and you know what you're supposed to do, help, Lord. It's not always up to the preacher to talk you into doing the thing that you know you're supposed to do anyway. You can either be healed or you can not be healed. You can either do the thing that God tells you to do, or you can not do the thing that God tells you to do. God's not going to force you to do it. The choice is yours. When he was faithful, God was faithful. Jesus says, all nations will hate you because you're my followers. But everyone who endures to the end will be saved. It's not the one that wins every battle. It's not the one that never falls. It's not the one that never fails. It's not the one that never makes a mistake. But it's just the one that keeps on walking. In spite of pain, in spite of disappointment, in spite of circumstance, in spite of trouble, in spite of hurt, you just keep walking. Just keep doing. The one that keeps walking is the one that wins. He that endureth. Anytime you see an ETH, it means you do it and then you keep doing it. If you seeketh, you continue to seek. If you asketh, you continue to ask. You endureth, you continue to endure. You endure through victory. You endure through defeat. You endure through mountains. You endure through valleys. You endure through good. You endure through bad. You just keep walking. We need miracle services sometimes. We really need, like, instant, like, no, all that stuff. We need that. But there's something special about somebody that's just too stubborn to quit. Somebody that's just too dumb to know when to just sit down and give up. I'm just going to keep walking. I'm just going to keep on enduring. Sometimes God shows off. Sometimes God shows up and shows out and all that kind of stuff. Sometimes God does exactly that. Sometimes he's real smart and he does exactly the thing I want him to do. In exactly the way I want him to do it. And that's when I know he has got it together. But most of the time, what happens is he don't listen to me. And I give good advice. I do. And in those times, there just has to be some endurething that happens. You just got to keep walking. Just keep going. Because as you go, all of a sudden, you're going to look down. Wait a minute. This don't look like it used to look. This situation don't look the way it used to look. They're not acting the way they used to act. They're not doing the things they used to do. There's some stuff changing, and all I'm doing is walking. There's some stuff changing, and all I'm doing is just the little thing that God told me to do. Naaman had the option to walk away angry, disappointed, sick, and die a leper, because he thought it had to be something big. He thought it had to be something impressive. But the answer is not in your strength. The answer is it was not in his money. It was not in his power. It was not in his connection. It was in his obedience. Go wash. Go dip. Just do the simple thing that God told you to do. And at first, nothing happened. He goes down to this filthy river. See, the rivers that he's talking about, these rivers are fed by the snows that come down off the mountains. And, it's just beautiful, clear, cool water. The Jordan is not like that. The Jordan's muddy. The Jordan's a little dirty. It's not a pretty river. And so he dips, and nothing happens. In fact, he's worse off now than he was before he got in the water. Because at least before he got in the water, he was clean, kind of. He dips again. Now his hair's messed up. 3 times, 4 times. Now them people that was real excited, you need to go do that. Now they're kind of starting to snicker. Look at him. He thought he was somebody. His hair's all matted. Got them cowlicks showing. 5 times. 6 times. Nothing. How many of us have felt the same way? I've prayed and I've fasted. Nothing's different. I cried. I believed. I danced. Did all the things I was supposed to do. But the pain is still there. The sickness is still there. The hurt is still there. The battle is still there. I'm still a leper. But don't stop at 6. Don't quit before you get what God promised you. If you'll be faithful, if you'll just keep walking, just keep dipping, just keep believing, let God do what God said He would do. Go ahead. Could you stand with me? You came to church tonight, and we had good worship. But you're tired. You're weary. You're sick of fighting. You're tired of waiting. You're tired of believing and not seeing. And the devil says, what's the use? You've prayed enough. You've tried enough. You've gone as far as you can. Just quit. Just rest. Just sit down. Just give it a minute. Maybe you don't have to walk every day. Maybe you don't have to be faithful every day. But most of the time, the victory is not in the flash. Most of the time, it isn't in the big thing. The miracle is in the walking. The miracle is in the enduring. The miracle is in the seventh dip. He that endureth to the end. God does not require us to be perfect. We can't be. God does not require that we never fall. He does not require that we never make a mistake. But He does say, you have to endure. Don't give up. Don't stop believing. Keep walking. Keep praying. Keep trusting. Because while you walk, God works. While you obey, God moves. So tonight, I want to give us a chance to tell the Lord, I may not understand, but I'm going to keep walking. I may not know where it's going, but I'm going to keep walking. God, I don't know where you're leading me, but I'm going to keep following you. I would invite you to come and tell God, I'm tired, but I'm still walking. I'm weary, but I'm still believing. Because I know that as long as I can walk, I can win. As long as I can walk, I can give God the opportunity to do the thing that He has promised me. As long as I can walk, God can work. As long as I can walk, God can move. Dip again. Walk again. Believe again. Because as you go, you can be healed. Let's lift our hands to the Lord right now.